Look at these photographs. Official history claims that what you are seeing are merely ordinary exhibition pavilions. The late 19th century, an era described to us as a time of mud, horse-drawn carriages, and only a nascent industrialization. We are told that people of that time, moving along broken roads, suddenly erected this. Kilometric structures, composed of millions of sheets of perfect cast glass and colossal frameworks of high-quality iron. And all of this in just 9 months. Without modern cranes, without computer calculations, without logistics networks. London, New York, Munich, Madrid. Starting in 1851, across the entire planet, as if on a single invisible command, they appear. The crystal palaces, the glass empires. Their scale is staggering. The height of the domes, the spans of the arches, the precision of the interlocking metal elements. These buildings outpaced the construction technologies of their time by hundreds of years. But if you begin to search for the blueprints of these structures, you hit the first wall. The archives are full of operating records. They detail exactly what goods were displayed inside, how many tickets were sold, which high-ranking officials visited the halls. But detailed architectural plans, foundation load calculations, and technological maps for producing such a massive volume of glass simply do not exist. The buildings seemingly appeared out of nowhere, fully operational, ready for use. And then they vanished. Almost all of these monumental palaces, masterpieces of global engineering, ceased to exist, burned, or were hastily dismantled within a single, short, 30-year historical window. Official chronicles blame it all on accidents, a stray spark, fires caused by wooden floors. But it raises a simple question. How could structures built exclusively of non-combustible iron and glass physically burn to the ground, leaving behind nothing but molten metal? Ordinary fire cannot do this. Physics does not allow it. What if these crystal domes had nothing to do with exhibitions of tractors and textiles? What if they were key nodes of an entirely different infrastructure? A technology that had to be destroyed, thoroughly, simultaneously, to force us to pay. Today, we open the forbidden catalogue of the glass empires, and we will try to understand whose inheritance was given to the flames. Let us look at the facts, at the details that mainstream science carefully bypasses, calling them mere coincidence. The Great Exhibition of 1851 in London, the starting point. To demonstrate the might of the British Empire, a gardener and architect named Joseph Paxton builds the first Crystal Palace in Hyde Park. 300,000 sheets of glass, the highest quality and most expensive at the time. Tons of cast iron, a unique modular system. But if you open the construction notes of that era, you stumble upon an anomaly. A fact that breaks all economic and structural logic of the pragmatic 19th century. The palace was designed and erected to completely cover, live, ancient oak trees in Hyde Park. Giant trees were isolated inside the glass perimeter, right beneath the gigantic central transept. Think about that. Why complicate and increase the cost of an already incredibly difficult build? Why erect a glass roof of colossal height around live giant trees, carefully preserving them inside an exhibition pavilion meant to house heavy machinery? The official explanation sounds noble. We are told that the public of London opposed the cutting down of historical oaks, and the architect had to adapt. A beautiful story. But it falls apart if you look at how British industrial companies of that time ruthlessly destroyed entire forests to lay railroads and coal mines. Public opinion meant nothing back then. But for these oaks, the building is redesigned. Why? Because the trees were not a decoration. They were part of the mechanism. Researchers of alternative architectural history point to a strange pattern. The geometry of these domes, the combination of colossal glass areas, latticed metal structures, and high spires on the roof, precisely mirror late 19th century patents related to the accumulation of static and atmospheric electricity. The iron framework of the building, rooted deep into the ground, acted as a ground connection. The tall metal spires at the top of the dome served as antennas to collect potential from the ionosphere, and the live trees inside played a critical role. Through the constant evaporation of moisture from their leaves, they created a unique, dense, highly ionized environment within the enclosed space. The dome operated as a gigantic bioresonant capacitor. This was not an exhibition pavilion, it was an energy node. The engineers of the old world knew what modern science tried to ridicule for a long time. They understood the principles of electroculture. Inside the Crystal Palace, a specific closed-frequency environment was created. The atmospheric current, passing through the ionized, humid air, directly stimulated the cellular structure of the plants. Old, miraculously surviving records of Victorian botanical societies contain astonishing reports. Inside the dome, exotic seeds brought from all over the world germinated in a matter of hours. Plants developed several times faster than in open ground. Their leaves, stems, and fruits reached gigantic, unnatural sizes, without the use of any fertilizers, without depleting the soil. The earth, placed under such a dome, gave a free, renewable, and unlimited food resource. But it was precisely this abundance that posed the main threat. For those who planned to rewrite the rules of the game on this planet, to understand the scale of what was lost, we must look behind the curtain of official science. The end of the 19th century was a time when knowledge of atmospheric electricity and its impact on biology had not yet been completely purged. In the 1880s, independent researchers around the world conducted experiments that seem like science fiction today. The French scientist Georges Lemstrom, Italian professor Alberto Pirovano, and later George Leeds worked on the exact same topic. They connected metal grids stretched over garden beds to simple atmospheric collectors. The results were documented. Yields increased by 100, 200, sometimes 300%. Potatoes grew to the size of a human head. Crops became immune to drought and frost. But where are all these technologies today? Why is there not a single word about electroculture in our agronomy textbooks? The answer lies in the events that occurred immediately after the closing of the Crystal Palace in London. After the exhibition of 1851 ended, the building is suddenly declared temporary and hastily moved to a new location, Sydenham Hill. Its construction is modernized. It becomes even more monumental. Two gigantic water towers, designed by engineer Isambard Kingdom Brunel, are erected on the sides of the palace, officially to feed the fountains. But independent researchers studying the hidden schematics discovered that the towers functioned as massive electrolytic batteries, stabilizing the current coming from the roof of the palace. In Sydenham, the Crystal Palace turns into a permanent laboratory, but access to it is gradually restricted. Documents regarding internal botanical experiments begin to disappear from public view. Identical processes occurred across the ocean. The New York Crystal Palace, built in 1853, was initially positioned as the pinnacle of US engineering. Its dome was the largest in the country, and inside it, closed experiments with high-voltage fields and rare flora were also conducted. The civilization of the Old World left behind autonomous biogenerators, capable of supplying huge regions with food and energy, without the need to burn millions of tons of coal or oil. This system was decentralized. It could not be shut down from a single center. It could not be taxed or metered. Any community with access to a glass dome with a spire became completely independent of the state machine and bank loans. Such a world order did not suit those who, at that exact moment, were creating a new financial model of control. A system based on artificial scarcity, on monopoly, on resources that must be extracted from the earth, refined, and sold in portions. The free frequency of abundance had to be disconnected, and the method chosen for this was maximum radicalism. And then the glass empires began to be destroyed. If you look at the timeline of the disappearance of crystal palaces around the world, you will notice a terrifying pattern. This does not look like a chain of accidents. It looks like a coordinated, global special operation of infrastructural erasure. Let us reconstruct the timeline. October 5th, 1858. The New York Crystal Palace. Inside, an exhibition of the American Institute is taking place. The building is crowded. Suddenly, a fire breaks out in one of the sectors. But what happens next defies the laws of physics. A colossal structure consisting of tons of cast iron and hundreds of thousands of massive glass sheets burns completely to the ground. In just 25 minutes, witnesses of the catastrophe left horrifying descriptions. They claimed that the heat was so unnatural and intense that the huge glass walls did not just crack, they turned into a boiling, glowing river that flowed down the metal frameworks. The cast iron dome, weighing hundreds of tons, lost its structural integrity and evaporated in minutes, collapsing inward. The official investigation closed the case almost immediately, blaming a faulty gas burner in a storage room. 25 minutes, and the unique technological node turned into a perfectly smooth field of ash. Time passes. The 20th century arrives, but the purge continues. June 6th, 1931, Munich. The famous glass palace, Glaspalast, built in the image of the London one, the true pride of Germany. Inside it were housed not only botanical collections, but also priceless archives, thousands of unique paintings by classical artists, paintings that, perhaps, captured views of the old world. The fire starts at night. In a few hours,
the building burns to the ground. The official cause? Arson, the culprits of which were never found. But most importantly, together with the building, its entire gigantic archive completely vanishes. Documents, blueprints, testimonies.
Everything turns to ash. November 30th, 1936. The circle closes where it all began. London, the Crystal Palace at Sydenham, the building that survived relocation, modernization, and decades of operation. The fire starts in the evening, a small source of ignition in a women's cloakroom. An hour later, the flames engulf the entire kilometric complex. The heat from the burning palace was so intense that its glow was visible 80 kilometers away in other counties of England. Look at the archival photographs of this fire. They capture the blazing skeleton of the building. The metal bends, twists, and melts as if made of wax. The temperature inside the fire tornado, according to estimates by later engineers, exceeded 1,500 degrees Celsius. I want you to think about that number. 1,500 degrees. An ordinary fire from wooden furniture, chairs, or clothing is physically incapable of creating such a temperature in an open space.
To melt thick cast iron beams to sustain such heat requires a directed oxygen supply and a colossal amount of specific fuel. That is how industrial blast furnaces work. But the Crystal Palace burns in the open air, leaving behind puddles of solidified metal melt. Years later, independent experts studying the nature of the destruction of the palaces in New York, Munich, and London came to a frightening conclusion. These buildings were not destroyed by wood and kerosene. The nature of the melting of the iron and the instantaneous evaporation of the glass point to the use of thermite mixtures, or high-frequency wave weapons that literally turned the resonating metal structures into red-hot conductors that destroyed themselves. Someone was in a great hurry. They needed to not just close these facilities, they needed to physically erase them from reality so that future generations would not be tempted to restore their functions.
Official history offers us a simple and comforting picture. We are told that this is the natural course of evolution. The buildings were impractical. They required too much money to maintain. The fires showed their safety hazards, and humanity simply moved on. The 20th century arrived, the century of true, evidence-based science, reinforced concrete, and pragmatism. New York, 1900. Paris. Let us brush aside these slogans, and let us look at what filled the resulting vacuum, at what replaced the burned glass empires. Precisely in this 30-year window, between 1880 and 1910, what researchers call the Great Reset occurs on the planet. The global financial elite, led by the banking syndicates of the Rockefellers and Morgans, carries out a total monopolization of all spheres of life. In medicine, all schools of natural and frequency healing are closed and outlawed, replaced by chemical pharmacology, entirely controlled by petrochemical corporations. In energy, the patents of Nikola Tesla and other pioneers of wireless energy transmission are blocked and seized. The world is hardwired into a paid grid and the burning of hydrocarbons. And the exact same thing happens in agriculture. A single standard is introduced worldwide: commercial agro-production. A system completely dependent on three things: purchasing patented seeds, using heavy machinery on liquid fuel, and, most importantly, colossal volumes of chemical fertilizers. The soil begins to be artificially depleted to force farmers to buy more and more nitrogen and phosphate additives from the very same chemical giants. Think about this connection. It is impossible to sell you paid chemicals for the soil. It is impossible to make food an instrument of geopolitical control if, in every major city of the planet, stands an autonomous crystal palace.
A huge dome that, through the free natural frequency of the earth, the geometry of cast iron arches and spires, collects energy from the air and allows the cultivation of giant crops year-round without any chemicals. The infrastructure of the old world was destroyed exactly when humanity was being moved onto the rigid tracks of total economic control. Free abundance was replaced by paid scarcity, and they called it progress. I am not claiming that behind every fire in New York or London stood a specific conspirator with a torch in hand. Perhaps the executioners believed these were ordinary accidents. But I invite you to look at the shapes, at the outlines of the lost puzzle, at the silhouettes of what is now missing from our lives. Why did these incredible technologies of large-scale construction, from cast glass and modular iron, appear suddenly as if out of nowhere,
and just as synchronously in an avalanche disappear, leaving behind only the grey concrete boxes of the 20th century? Why are the official archives buried in operating records? Detailed reports on how many laces and steam engines were exhibited in the halls, but contain practically no engineering formulas and calculations by which these giant resonating domes were created. They left us the operating records, but they took the blueprints. They left us a fairy tale, a beautiful Victorian fairy tale about 19th century exhibition pavilions, where well-dressed people in top hats walked among palm trees. But the spires on the roofs, the massive cast iron arches, the foundations rooted in the ground, and the rare surviving photographs remember a completely different story. The story of a civilization that understood the physics of the earth deeper than we do today. A world where healing, energy, and abundance were broadcast directly from space, for free. Before this planet was turned into a closed corporation, where for every breath of energy, you have to pay. And as always, I'm not giving you ready-made answers. I am not making final conclusions. I only leave you alone with a question. If today, in your city, on a surviving ancient foundation, a crystal palace were to be restored, according to the original blueprints of 1851, without changes, providing its iron framework with the correct ground connection, raising the spires to the sky, and planting trees inside, what exactly would begin to happen within that space? What frequency would return to our world? And are those who control this world today ready to let us find out? Or would the new crystal palaces turn to ash once more? In just 25 minutes, once you begin to see these patterns, you can no longer unsee them. The map of the old world was erased, but its contours still bleed through the official lies, if you know how to look.